Okay, here we are. We're back again. We're waking you up early Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m. You're either on your way to work, coming from work, or going to a house of worship, or maybe going to see the sunrise, or just going to the beach and walking, wherever you're doing. Stop for the next 30 minutes because we have probably one of the most important subjects and issues that we have discussed here probably in months and months and months. I have the esteemed privilege and pleasure. First of all, let me recognize my co-hostess, Marianne Dozier, is back again.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Masters, and I am glad to be here. Marianne Dozier with tysmedia.net and cocowire.net.
And I call it what do I call it?
Coconut.
Okay, we're going to jump right to it. And, of course, let me introduce my guest. I have the esteemed privilege and pleasure of introducing Gail Schwartz to the airwaves here in Palm Beach County. Ms. Schwartz, good morning. Wake up. Are you there?
Good morning. Yes. Good morning, Mayor Masters.
It's always good to hear your voice. I'm just going to let you jump into it. Tell me who you are and what you're doing and what is needed, and just roll for the next 7 or 8 minutes. I'm going to let you talk.
Well, I have always been horrified by the amount of bloodshed due to gun violence that I have watched from a distance in this country. And then it affected my family in Parkland at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting, when I saw an alert on my phone that there had been a shooting at my nephew's school. And we spent about the next 10 hours searching for my nephew. He wasn't answering his cell phone. He wasn't responding to text messages. No one could reach him. We couldn't find him. So we started driving around to the hospitals and couldn't find him at any of the hospitals. And then what happens is you get told that if you can't locate your child, that you need to go to a location where we were huddled in the room with family members who were in the same situation, desperate to find their children. I was waiting at home, desperately searching for answers, waiting to hear from my brother, when finally we got the news that no family member ever wants to hear, which was that my nephew was one of the victims and would never be coming home. So what happened was he went to school. He was sitting at his language arts class, sitting at his desk, doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing. And a madman, a monster, who had easy access to a weapon of war, a weapon that has no place in our neighborhoods, came into the school. He had anger in his heart, hate in his heart, and we made it so easy for him to go on a shooting rampage and commit mass murder.
Wow.
And I said to myself, this can't be the society and the world that we want to live in. I refuse to believe that this is the cost of living in America. I refuse to accept that my nephew's life was simply just considered collateral damage.
Gail, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Someone may be tuning in. You're listening to Gail Schwartz, who's the aunt of one of the victims at Parkland School. Some time ago, you heard about the young guy that went in there and just started shooting and killing people, and she's telling her story, and she's going to be telling us what she is doing now to make sure that no aunt or no mother would have to feel the pain that Gail is feeling and has felt and will continue to feel. Go ahead, Ms. Schwartz. I just want to update people who may just be getting off from work and tuning in. Pick it up from there.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I started to hear the stories of what actually took place in that school that took the lives of 17 people, innocent people, students and their faculty members. They were hunted like animals. it was as if they were on a battlefield in a war zone. They weren't just shot one time. They were shot 5, 10, 15 times. And
wow.
we see this happening over and over again. And I started to think to myself, what can I do as a citizen, as just a regular, average Floridian? And I knew that Florida had a history of approving ballot initiatives. We just approved the medical marijuana citizens initiative. We just approved the felons restoration voting rights initiative. And I thought, why don't I see if we can organize something to get an assault weapons ban added to the ballot in 2020 through this same type of movement. And I was so excited. I heard everyone's outcry from the multiple shootings that we've had in Florida. We had just suffered Parkland, but there was also the Pulse nightclub shooting. And I knew what was happening in our inner cities with AR-15s and AK-47s. And I said, gee, if there's enough people out there that care about this issue and care about the lives of their loved ones and making sure that they don't come home in a body bag, we could cobble together our resources and get something off the ground and give people a call to action so that we can create a positive change in our state, something that will save lives.
And what have you done?
So what we have done is we wrote the amendment. We spent many, many months consulting with constitutional legal experts in the state of Florida and firearms experts, and we wrote the language to place a petition and a ballot initiative on the ballot for 2020. And for the last year, we have been collecting signatures so that we can get this on the ballot and give Floridians a voice at the ballot box.
And you know what, Ms. Schwartz, let me interrupt you for a second. That's what people need to understand. Because you sign an initiative, a referendum to get something on the ballot, it doesn't mean you necessarily doesn't mean that you for or against. What it does mean is that you want the people to have a voice and determine how this should play out in the state of Florida, pro or con. Is that correct? Would you say that?
Absolutely. This is direct democracy in action. We've never had an opportunity to have a say in the types of weapons that we want sold in this state. We know we're not going to get support from our government. We know we can't depend on the Florida legislature to keep us safe, even though that's why they were elected, to provide for the safety of their constituents. So now we're going to do this ourselves. And we can do this. If we can collect enough signatures to place this amendment on the ballot, we can give Floridians an opportunity to vote on this issue.
And to get engaged and get involved. My co-host, Marion, has pulled the mic towards her, which means she's got to ask you a question or make a comment. Marion, go right ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So give us a sense of what the amendment language says.
Okay, so what we want to do is prohibit the sale of new military-grade weapons coming into the state. So if you already have the weapon, you can keep the weapon. We are not confiscating weapons. This is just to prevent someone who is angry and wants revenge. It prevents them from going to a store to buy the weapon. And
Good.
so what we want to do, the exact language is we want to prohibit the possession of assault weapons defined as semi-automatic rifles and shotguns capable of holding more than 10 rounds of the ammunition, either in a fixed or detachable magazine or any other feeding device. This doesn't prevent anyone from hunting. Most hunting rifles and shotguns hold less than 10 rounds. That's all you need. This doesn't prevent anyone from having a pistol or a handgun, and certainly we've exempt those types of weapons.
What about age?
More than 10 rounds.
Does it affect any particular targeted age group?
Well, after the Parkland shooting, there was a new law passed that you must be older than 21 in this state to purchase a firearm.
Correct.
Good. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mary.
So is this one saying that nobody can buy military grade weapons, or they just cannot be sold at all in this state going forward once this amendment passes? Interesting.
That's exactly correct.
So it's military or law enforcement.
And I'm just curious, why only these assault weapons? Did y'all consider any other kinds of weapons that have been used also to kill?
These are the weapons of choice for mass shooters. These are the weapons that have been used in the most gruesome mass shootings in American history. Just to run down a list of a few of them. Aurora movie theater killed 12 people. Pittsburgh synagogue, 11. Sandy Hook Elementary, 26. Sutherland Springs Church, 26. Pulse nightclub shooting right here in Orlando, 49. Las Vegas, 58. El Paso, we just saw 22 killed. And the reason why these are so deadly is because you can literally put in a magazine and fire off hundreds and hundreds of endless rounds. We just saw the Dayton shooter was able to shoot 36 people within 32 seconds. No one needs to have that type of firepower.
In Philadelphia, with 6 police officers and others hurt.
That's right.
Injured.
And our law enforcement is outgunned when these weapons are being used.
And you know, Gail, I don't mean to cut you off, but one of the things that I do want to say as a pastor, as a former mayor of the city, I have experienced this right up front, firsthand. I can tell you 95% of the young people that have been killed in the inner city that I have done their funerals were killed by assault weapons. I can say that, and cannot. Yeah, at least 95%. They have not been killed by a little handgun. That I can say. That. Oh yeah, absolutely. So not just as you make the point. It's not just the mass shootings, but in the inner cities. The inner cities, mayors are witnessing and experiencing this every week. Whether it's Detroit, it's Los Angeles, whether it's Cleveland, it's all over. And it's time that people have to come together, rise above politics, rise above political persuasions and geographical locations, and say enough is enough. Let the military do their thing, the law enforcement, and I'm happy to say that I'm excited to volunteer all of my time. I mean, just as much time I have in the day to ask people to go door to door, store to store, church to church, mayor to mayor, and other elected officials. I'm so happy that Douglas Lawson is going to be spearheading the lead in Riviera Beach as an elected official, and others to say we support ban against assault weapons now. So let me ask you this, Ms. Schwartz, where can people go? Well, they can see me, number one. If you know where I live, or you know where I am on Sunday morning, or if you know how to get in contact with me, you can definitely see me. I have thousands of petitions. We're ready to go. And West Palm Beach, Delray, Boynton, Gail, can you give us a sense of location where some of these petitions are ready to be signed?
So this is why I love this movement. It's 100% grassroots. We are not supported by any corporations or special interest groups. If this is going to get on the ballot, it's because Floridians care enough to do something. And this is our chance. So I've made it so easy for everyone to just go onto our website, which is banassaultweaponsnowflorida.org. Right there, you can print as many copies of the petition right off of our website. Take it to take it to a photocopy machine. We don't just need one signature. I need everyone to commit to 20 signatures. Get 100. Take it out into your community. Organize a petition drive. We need close to 800,000 signatures throughout the entire state of Florida.
Like a petition pizza drive party. And the other thing is, let me say, having experience of have done so many referendums in my past 12 years about the petition itself. Make sure you print your name, very legible for people can read. Everything must be filled out correctly. Your name, particularly as it appears on your voter registration card. Don't leave anything out. First, middle name, last name, your address, And if your address is not the current, if your current address is not the address that you registered in or that's on the books, then you mark the little box, and that will give the Supervisor of Elections authority to send you a new registration card with your new address and birth date. You have a choice. Either you have your voter registration card and you give us your voter registration number, or your birth date. Birth date doesn't mean July 22nd. What it does mean is July 22nd, 1952. That's the year I was born, so I don't have any problem giving my birthday. You must have it complete and also completed. And the other thing, when you sign this petition, your signature has to match the signature that is on file. So it better look just like your driver's license signature. I know some people got 4 or 5. We want the one that's on file, the one you sign when you register, the one you sign driver's license. Anyone in the state of Florida who's a registered voter from 18 on up, if you're a registered voter anywhere in Florida, any county, you can sign the petition. Go online, and she says, ban, that's B as in boy, ban assault weapons now. BAWN. I didn't leave anything out. Ban assault weapons out, right?
Ban assault weapons now. Ban assault weapons now. Florida.org.
There you go. Now, is there a phone number? Because my time is just about up. Is there a phone number that people can call or email, text, or whatever that you can give?
Anyone can email me if you have questions which is my email is gail@bonfl.org.
Okay. Marion, your final question? All right. Well, good luck. And, well, that's what they say out there. I would say blessings upon you. I'm going to do all I can to get this into our communities across the state. I'll be going to Orlando, Tampa, and some other places. We've got to do something. To do nothing is not a choice, but to do something is mandatory.
That's right. We need to start valuing people over guns. And
Thank you.
We are ready to declare there's nothing more important than the lives of our family members.
Thank you for calling. I will see you probably today or Monday. And pastors, get ready. Teachers, students, get ready. You don't have to be any age. You could be 15 years old and get signatures. Wherever you are, you just
That's
can't
right.
be, you just have to be a registered voter to sign. Everybody get ready. Get 10, 20 beauty shops, barber shops, whatever. I'll see you today, Gail, or tomorrow. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you for having me.
Always. Okay, we're going to move on to studio number 2. And speaking of the petition drive, Marion, I'm sure there's some other drives out there and community events that are important that people need to know as well.
Yeah, and before we move on to the community events that are coming up, in relationship to what we were just talking about, as I'm sure you were aware, there was a prayer at City Hall events that happened on Monday this week against gun violence. And they were all over Palm Beach County. I think they were in at least, I think it was 9 cities, including yours, Riviera Beach. And they had pastors to come to every one of those city halls and lead prayer against, gun violence. And when I first thought about it, the thing that first came to me was this was the end of the separation of church and state. They were essentially saying, let's work together, because, government officials have just as much responsibility and ability to affect communities.
And it's on our money. In God we trust.
Yeah,
okay.
As the pastors do. So that was one really interesting event, and those pastors do plan on continuing that process. And there is a story about this on cocowire.net on the homepage where we talked about this, and the local newspaper, the Palm Beach Post, also wrote about it, and there's a link in that story as well.
Absolutely. And those pastors are also supporting the ban against assault weapons.
Absolutely.
So we're all coming together on this one issue.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and in fact, we were wanting to have a couple of them on today, but they could not make it, unfortunately. So, but we're going to talk about some other upcoming events, and these are a lot happier than the ones that we were just talking about. So I've got a few of them. We'll see how much we can do before the end of the morning. The first one, create high vibes with the tribe. That's the tagline for Living the Rhythm, a weekly African drum circle that is open to anyone interested in impromptu percussive performances and new faces of all ages, some dancing, all beautiful, with free use of percussive equipment and interesting vendors. It is held 7 p.m. each Thursday in the backyard of Harold's Coffee Lounge in the historic Northwest neighborhood of West Palm Beach. I think you know the organizer, Mr. Mayor, Abasi Hanif.
Yes.
Yeah, he is a diaspora-connected educator and skilled drummer and the son of C.B. Hanif, who had been the former ombudsman at the Palm Beach Post, and now he teaches journalism at Inlet Grove High School. But anyway, from 7 to 10 p.m., free every Thursday. It's a really interesting event. You have all of these young people, and when I say young, there's even like 4- and 5-year-olds there beating on these African drums. It's a very diverse audience. It's very interesting. So check out the CocoWire.net calendar if you need any more information. Next event, the Alpha Educational Foundation is the nonprofit arm of the Delta Delta Lambda chapter of the National Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And on every third Thursday of the month, it is now hosting its new Old School Groove Night to raise funds for the work that it does every single day. And what is that labor? Do you know, Mr. Mayor?
I do not. I wasn't really paying attention.
That's a shame. They raise money. You would think he's a millennial, the way he's sitting there looking at his phone, ladies and gentlemen. But what they do is they raise money to provide scholarships for high school students in Palm Beach County, including those who participate in its Men of Tomorrow program. And among the other many things that this nonprofit does, we include the operation of the Judge Rogers Center for Community Development in your hometown, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
But
which is what, Pasadena, California?
Oh. Okay, I'm going to remember that.
It's okay.
Old School Groove Night will be held on the third Thursday of each month at Zara's Jazz Cafe in West Palm Beach. Entry fee is just a $5 donation to the foundation, which attendees can increase if they like. The attire is grown and sexy. Happy hour is the drink pricing. And the music is broad, ladies and gentlemen. Hip-hop, R&B, funk, and old school.
Wow, that's me, right?
Yeah.
That's why you smiled when you looked up here. You said,
the old school?
Old school.
Now, see, I thought about you when I said hip-hop. See?
Oh, Lord.
But in other words, it's going to be fun, 6 to 8 p.m. Okay? If you want any more information, visit their website, delta-lambda.com, or type to any alpha male that you know. All right.
It's just so much going on.
Well, it was only 2.
Yeah, but
Now,
quite detailed, which
yes.
is good.
Now, here's an interesting, the City of Delray Beach and Spady Cultural Heritage Museum present the monthly Ride and Remember historical tour that takes riders on a, as they say, blast from the past journey of the city. The next one happens from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Saturday, September 14th. It's always the second Saturday of each month, and the tour starts at the Spady Museum, and then it drives through the city's 5 historic districts. And I think one of the best parts that I hear about this tour, and it's a 2-hour tour, is that it's interactive, that you can get off of the bus at different points around the city of Delray Beach. And it does more than just kind of, relay facts about the city, but it kind of takes you back in time, is what I understand. I think I'm thinking about going in September. But anyway, it happens every second Saturday of the month, and the tickets are $20 per person. Okay. So there you go. And now, what's interesting too, Mr. Mayor, is the museum director there, Charlene Farrington. Mm-hmm. She is working with Dr. Robinson and some of these community groups to create this African American Museum of, this Palm Beach County Museum of African American History. And It's not clear just yet exactly what the relationship will be between Spady and this particular museum, which the plan is to have it here at the Roosevelt, the formerly segregated and currently iconic Roosevelt High School in West Palm Beach. But they are now, Dr. Robinson, who you had on the show talking about this, she is now creating a nonprofit to oversee this board because she got some money from the state, and the school district has dedicated $10 million to the concept. So she is now creating a nonprofit board that will oversee this museum, and they're going to be having monthly meetings as they prepare. So
all right.
So yeah, but that's what's going on in Delray Beach. And now, if you want to take that Spady Museum historical tour, just give them a call, 561-279-8883, or visit their website, spadymuseum.com, and that's SP like Paul, AD like David, Y. Spady Museum.
And also, Mary, we certainly want to remember the families of Dr. Jean Enright, lost her mother a few days ago, and also
Who is Dr. Jean Enright?
She's a elected official on the Port of Palm Beach. Serves there with Joe Anderson and others, and Wayne Richards. We also want to remember one of the matriarchs of Palm Beach County, particularly our area, the mother of Tony Siders from Siders Funeral Home. We lost May Siders, who everyone knows have done so much work in the community of the past, and she's been involved in so many different organizations in the churches, as well as community-based. So thought we would certainly want to take a moment to memorialize those two giants there. All right. And can I mention that I was in the Bahamas a few days ago as the international ambassador for the World Conference of Mayors, and met with their elected officials, and I'm happy to report that we have some new members who have joined the World Conference of Mayors from the Caribbean, and also we're meeting with several African leaders, mayors, and other elected officials from African nations to the latter part of this month. It's going to be scheduled for a conference in Washington, D.C. So I'll be going to meet with the mayors from Africa, with certain nations, countries that are going to be there. Okay? I just thought so I've been busy.
Wonderful.
As an ambassador, and of course, bishop always.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, too. Meeting really interesting people.
Yes. Well, anything else?
Well, I don't know if...
We got 3 good minutes.
There's a resident of your hometown of Riviera Beach, in terms of our update on Palm Beach County authors. On CocoWire.net, we have been tracking local authors who are publishing their own books. And last night, Saturday night, was a book signing for a Riviera Beach resident who has just self-published her own book, which is about her, God, and his hands on her life. She had the first book signing last night at the Lindsay Davis Center. Tiffany Williams.
Sorry I missed it. She's so sweet.
You know her?
Tiffany Absolutely.
Williams.
She's a union rep in Riviera Beach. And you know what, Marion? You mentioned it. I'm going to do this before I go to heaven. That's the only way I can do it. I'm going to write a book to talk about from the cradle, for me, autobiography, from the cradle to the pulpit to the palace, and talk about my how old am I now? 67, 66 years? I don't forgot. Since 1952, whatever that is. Do the math. Just had a birthday.
Good. And speaking of titles, the book title of Tiffany Williams is A Woman Can Flourish No Matter What, Just Ask God.
Wow.
And her story, supports that, because she's a single mother with kids, but she also earned a college degree and has her own home. So she has a story to share. And the book is available on Amazon.com, too. Tiffany Williams, A Woman Can Flourish No Matter What, Just Ask God. And again, on CocoWire.net, we have been updating. If you go on there, you might have to look in the archive section, but there's 2 previous updates with about a dozen different authors in Palm Beach County who have published books. And if y'all know of any, we would certainly like to continue to keep updating that list and updating those stories.
And getting the information into the community.
That's correct.
And having said that, the best is yet to come with cocoa, and all other kind of wires, right?
Yes.
But right now, X102.3, the best is yet to come.